Thank you, Nalini. Hello, everyone. On behalf of Dala, I welcome you to the webinar on Decentralized Waste Management, a migration strategy for climate change. My name is Pinky Chandran, and I'm the host for today's webinar. So, garbage, waste, rubbish, kachra, whatever you call it, as we all know, is one of humanity's greatest physical legacy, and we all produce it. And we also separate the unwanted from the wanted and get rid of trash, a routine of our everyday life and perhaps civilization. But it is only in recent years that it has gained attention due to the alarming proportions that it has been manifesting. From the towering garbage mountain at Delhi's Ghazipur landfill, the Tower of Shame, as they call it, to once the marshland now home to Mumbai's high rise, Deonar landfill. From the cast off capital Panipat that is drowning in textile waste, to our very own black spots scattered across our drains, footpath, vacant lands, lake beds, under the constructed flyovers, it is all over. The nightmare is now real and threatens to envelop us. Due to its physical nature and the massive impact on climate change, biodiversity, the planetary health, and human health, waste is forefront and center in the world of sustainability. But close your eyes for a second, just a second. When you think of garbage, what comes to your mind? You can put your answers in the chat. Um, does landfill comes to your mind, or ocean plastic, construction debris, compost heaps, or even a dry waste collection center in operation? Do you know that all these produce carbon emissions? Every waste management practice generates greenhouse gases, both directly, that is, emissions from the process itself, and indirectly through energy consumption. Methane emissions from landfill represent the largest source of greenhouse gas emissions from the waste sector, followed by solid waste incineration. So, what do we mean when we say that the waste management sector is in a unique position to become a contributor to reducing greenhouse gas emissions? The climate benefits of waste practices resulting from avoided landfill emissions, reduced raw material extraction and manufacturing, recovered materials and energy replacing virgin materials and fossil energy sources are significant. In particular, there is global consensus that the climate benefits of waste avoidance and recycling far outweigh the benefits of any waste treatment technology. Although waste prevention is found at the top of the so called waste management hierarchy, it generally receives the least allocation of resources and effort. The informal waste sector makes a significant but typically ignored contribution to resource recovery and greenhouse gases savings in cities of developing countries. And so today, I'm delighted to announce the report launch of by Dala titled A Greenhouse Gas Study on Dry Waste Collection Centers in Bengaluru. The study uses the toolkit Reducing Greenhouse Gas Emissions Through Inclusive Recycling, developed by the Women in Informal Employment, Globalizing and Organizing, in short, WIGO, a global network dedicated to improving the working conditions of the working poor, especially women in the informal economy. So please join me in extending my welcome to Mr. Mahesh T, Chief Environmental Officer in charge Karnataka State Pollution Control Board, and Mr. Basavaraj Kabade, the Chief General Manager of the Bangalore Solid Waste Management Company, BSML for short, for this report launch, a first of its kind study in the city. The tool allows for the measurement of greenhouse gas emission avoided through the following waste treatment methods, that is, diversion of waste from decay in landfill and dumps, recycling, manual sorting and transportation, and diversion of materials from open burning. So, without further ado, I would now like to request my colleague and longtime friend, Nalini Shekar, the co founder of Hasiru, a social impact organization working with waste pickers, to present the findings from the study. Over to you, Nalini.
Thank you, Pinky, for that introduction. So we have been working for almost 10 years now. Next year we will be completing 10 years of existence as a trust. And our aim was to look at how do we integrate waste pickers into waste management system. And waste pickers, as you know, they sort, grade, and send the material for recycling. So recycling does not happen if waste pickers are not there. And 10 years ago, we knew one day the waste on the street will be limited, and how do we upskill them and bring them into dry waste collection center. And our corporation, BBMP, has been really in the leadership role they have taken in integrating waste pickers in solid waste management. And we so when we looked at this after 10 years, we said we have to really look at, are they making any difference? Is dry waste collection center making difference? Our effort of zero waste management, is it making any difference? So we really wanted to do an academic exercise of actually looking at it. So the whole objective was threefold. One was looking at dry waste collection center contribution in reduction of GHG emission. We have also started textile waste management. We wanted to look at how the textile not reaching landfill could really help us, because today 90% of the textile waste is going to landfill. And the third thing is lane composting, because Bangalore is known for lane composting, whether that actually makes any difference. Next one. So we looked at Jayanagar constituency or the division. So we had specifically seven wards in Bengaluru. And then we looked at 177, one ward in depth for the study. So, how we did the methodology, as Pinky already mentioned, we looked at the Vigo tool. It's called GHG Emission Calculator 2.0, and it's developed by Vigo in collaboration with Green Partner Environment Consulting. It's a it is in United States, the company, and the Global Alliance of Waste Pickers actually developed this whole thing to see if there is any emission reduction with the work they do. Next one, please. So, how did we do this? The first thing that we did was identify the actual areas that we really want to conduct, and what is the kind of landfill the presently waste is going to. Then we calculated the avoid of emission from the disposal site, and then calculated to avoid emission due to substitution of raw material through recycling. Then we calculated the contributed emission from the transportation practice of DWCC in collecting the dry waste. Finally, we calculated what is the actual emission avoided because of the energy intensive sorting or pre-processing. Rather, energy not used so much. So what we found was, there's a book, we will be happy to share the online version of it. So what we found was DWCC contribution to GHG emission was very high, reduction of GHG emission. So it is actually a mitigation strategy for climate change. We found that 1,749 tons of CO2 equivalent per year is reduced. And it is almost like looking at taking away 388 passengers car from the road every year. And the second one, we looked at 177 a little more closely. Next one. Where we looked at 17.11 tons of carbon equivalent per year was reduced, because we collected cloth waste separately. There was another vehicle which went and collected the cloth waste. Thanks to BBMP, they gave us a permission to do this experiment in 177. And also similarly in Domlur, we have done this experiment. So we looked at how to reduce, how it has reduced the carbon footprints. Then we looked at the lane composting. There is an WOW, another organization, women's organization, which actually managing the lane composter, and actually the PK, the local PK is maintaining it overall, and every day he is working at it. We looked at how much of CHG emission can be reduced because of the lane composter. We looked at 3.03 tons per year. So this is the overall finding overall finding of dry waste collection center, lane composting, and avoiding cloth waste going into the landfill. And so this has a huge potential when we do really more and more decentralized waste management to the extent that is possible in a city like Bangalore. Definitely, we can reduce the GHG emission. So we really think that moving forward, zero waste implementation is key to climate change. And zero waste implementation has a huge potential in both diverting waste from landfill and preventing greenhouse gases. It also creates more jobs at the local level. Putting the waste pickers as the center of solution. You must be wondering why waste pickers. These are the skilled labor. We have people with skills and knowledge. It is important to leverage the labor we have who have skill rather than bringing more people into this sector and teaching them. One of the things that I really remembered was when two or three different places cloth waste had gone to the recyclers. He clearly told us the level of sorting is the best for Hasirudala. It is not because of Hasirudala, it's actually because the sorting is done by the waste picker. What we recommend definitely is definitely more dry waste collection center. And right now, all the ULBs in Karnataka is looking at upgrading the DWCC. Definitely, BBMP and in Bengaluru is looking at upgrading the DWCC so that we can reduce more waste going out. And we really have to move towards zero waste goals and policies. So I just want to quickly talk about the limitation of the study. Um, we did not calculate the GHG emission of the transportation used for mixed waste. Although open burning is significant in these areas, it is much less than before, but it is there. We were not able to calculate that. And as a part of the mixed waste audit, it was very difficult to do. When the mixed waste vehicle comes, because in 177, most of the domestic, we have seen that segregation is very high. And only from the black spots, we were getting this mixed waste, and it was in really bad shape. Nobody could even sit next to it and sort it. So we were not able to sort. We were planning to do it for 3 days. Only one day we were able to do. It was really unhygienic condition for anybody to sort, whether it is researchers or waste pickers or Paurakarmikas. Actually, waste picker and Paurakarmika really helped us one day, but it was inhumane to ask anybody to do the segregation. So we have taken the data for only one day. We really, really want to acknowledge waste pickers who were part of the study and helped us, and we go, of course. Our BBMP zone commissioner, JC, Jagdish Nayak sir was really supportive. So was the AW Sheshikala health inspector. And we really thank Mr. Mahesh, who will be speaking soon, who did our a preface for our report. And also, I cannot thank Soumya Reddy, who was helpful in helping when she was an MLA here to make us do the study, and also Sarfraz Khan really encouraged us to do the study. So we really thank them, though they are not in the direct system today. Because of them, this study happened. So thank you very much, and this is a for the quick. Full report, you can go on to our website also. It is available there, and also the QR code. Thank you. This is very briefly I've talked about, and the details are in the book. Thank you, Pinky.
Thank you, Nalini, for that very comprehensive brief of the study. And like what Nalini said, I would urge you all to read the full report, which is available on the Hasrudala website. And now I would like to request Mr. Kabade, to give us quick reflection of the study and from in terms of what it means for the city.
Yeah, good evening all. I'm Basavaraj Kabade, Chief General Manager for Bangalore Solid Waste Management. The presentation what Nalini madam gave just now, it briefly tells about what are the factors that are actually contributing to our carbon emissions. Basically, in terms of the mixed waste, what it goes to our landfills, how much carbon emissions is contributing to, and it gives an eye opener for the studies of the for example, for the one dry waste collection center where the study has been done, that itself shows what are the carbon emissions that are calculated, and shows the nature of emissions that is contributing to global warming for Bangalore city. And it is an eye opener, and it also engages us to do better performance in terms of segregation of waste at source, such that the recyclables are taken to dry waste, and only the wet waste goes to the processing, and also the decentralized lane compostings are taken up. In a way, the 100% of waste that is now used as a resource material has to be taken into consideration by engaging all the public, the NGOs, RWAs, the rag pickers, and officials, and everybody together. We can make a better city and achieve the goals and reduce the climate change. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Nalini, I have a question for you. While we wait for Mr. Mahesh to join us, now that you have undertaken the study only for 7 waste picker run dry waste collection centers, what would you require to study the contribution of all waste picker run dry waste collection centers in the state?
I think, as Mr. Kabade was saying, segregation at source is the key. That is number one. And how do you, systematically keep the data? Data keeping is very important, and I am proud to say waste pickers who have never read and write, even till now they don't know to read and write, they've learned how to keep the data. That is very important. So we have data from when we started 2010 or 11. So data is very key. How much comes into the dry waste collection, how much goes out, what kind of waste that comes in. So it is very important to, if you're looking at state level study, then we need to look at how each organization, that is the ULBs or Gram Panchayats, any kind of local organization, how they've made their policies to integrate waste pickers and do the segregation. So I think right now Karnataka government is leading in both urban and rural area where the infrastructure has been set up. So if we are able to look at calculating and keeping the data, it's very easy to do it. It's not, it doesn't take much. It is a dedication of a team who will do it well. We can do that.
Thank you, Nalini. Mr. Kabade, I have a question for you. Bangalore, as we know, has many firsts. From mandating segregation of waste at source, the establishment of dry waste collection center, promotion of lane composting, ward level composting, then the guidelines that you all have released on festival waste management, event waste management. In addition to issuing occupational ID cards for waste pickers, the classification of bulk generators, some of these have made it to the national policy. And here, I would like you to accept my congratulations for being selected as the best RRR city in Karnataka in the My Life My Clean City campaign conducted by the DMA. I have two questions for you. With the Brand Bangalore initiative, how do you see the push for decentralized waste destinations and the role of informal waste workers? And my second question for you is, how do you think this kind of study will help gain traction for your work? I know that you've answered it briefly in your reflections, but it would help if you can elaborate the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Pinky ma'am. The Brand Bangalore initiative, which is mooted by the Honorable Deputy CM in respect of 8 sectors. One of the major sector is the solid waste management, which is a critical even as compared to the traffic congestion what we have today. This Brand Bangalore concept, basically the inputs that we have received, we all know the inputs, we all know the solutions. Basically, the solutions are like Ma'am Hasiru, Nalini ma'am said that segregation at source, creation of decentralized facilities, and lane composting, composting at the bulk generators composting their own waste. Only the wet waste has to be taken to larger wet waste can be taken to either biomethane plant or a bio CNG plant. All these solutions we know. The problem that we face in this is the decentralized plan, lack of decentralized plans right now. The capacity, the amount of generation that waste we are having, and there is no solution for creation of these infrastructures at the ward level, basically. Suppose I want to create one dry waste collection center or a biomass, small 5 tons biomass plant or a lane composting. Nobody wants the waste in besides their home or inside their property. It has to be taken out. So we face a lot of problems, especially in the CBD area. We will not find even 1 inch of land right now. So despite so much of enforcement and all those things, there is we have created centralized plants, as you all know that we have around 8 processing plants which are running it up to 80% of their efficiency for which it is designed. Even then, we are having a lack of processing facility. Brand Bangalore, basically, we want to target the next 25 years what waste generation that city will produce. Basically, these decentralized plants which have been done now, they will also act as they will in fact become a decentralized plants. In fact, when the city grows beyond the BBMP borders, then we need to handle the waste generated. So for example, we have Biddi, we have Ramnagar, we have Kanapura, we have Anekal. All these waste can be taken up to these plants. And basically, the solid waste management company, when it was formed not only to cater to the BBMP's waste and also to the waste generated in the satellite towns also. So, in keeping in view of this, Brand Bangalore keeps at a holistic view and perspective view of what is going to come. That Bangalore needs to be prepared in respect of creation of infrastructure, in respect of providing all types of solutions for all types of waste, right from wet waste to dry waste to sanitary waste, hazardous waste, construction and demolition waste, or e-waste, medical waste, all these things we are taking into care, and we want to do this wherever possible, do it in a decentralized manner. Where it is not at all possible, then we want to create a centralized plans, and present centralized plans would become a decentralized plans in future, because there we have good resource of land in each of these plants. We have nearly 20 to 30 acres of land, and this can be also be considered as smaller decentralized plants. But it should not concentrate at one place in the city. It should be on the all the 4 corners of the city or 8 corners of the city. If these plants are established, then I think we would find a good solution for the city. As Nalini madam was telling, this waste after the I think I mean the energy and buildings. This waste is the major source for greenhouse gas emissions, and this is also by the study which is done by the United Nations. The waste composition after the traffic and the, energy source. The next major contribution is from waste. So we need to think about the future and ensure that greenhouse gases are reduced and methane emissions are reduced. And a view on this will take place only when we have a say 2050 plan, 2030 plan, short term, long term, and mid term and long term plans are there, and we execute the way it is planned. Then we will be able to create a brand Bangalore. And for this, we require support from all the sectors of the society. Not only BBMP alone cannot do it. It has to be from individuals to the households, to the apartment owners, to the NGOs, to the RWS, to the political background, everyone. Then only this can be implementable. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I think what you rightly touched upon, which we've not heard in a long time, is planning and planning for the future. Very often, what we do is we plan for the immediate requirement, and we are always in playing catch up. So it is. I'm glad to hear that you're looking at planning for 25 years, which means reassessing the capacity that you have. I'll come back to you for more questions. I would like to now extend my warm welcome to Mr. Mahesh, who was also one of the key members to establish EMPRI and also the former general manager at the Environmental Management Policy Research Institute, which is EMPRI. And he was also involved with the assessment, evaluation, reporting of the water quality and air quality under different national programs in India, such as the Global Environmental Monitoring System, monitoring of Indian Aquatic Resource Program, the National Ambient Air Quality Monitoring Program. Sir, I know you have read the report and you have also added your forward in the report. But for the purpose of this webinar, may I please request you to give your reflections of the study from a Karnataka perspective? Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. For providing an opportunity to share a few thoughts on this waste management. In fact, as all of you know, KSPCB is a regulatory body. Mainly enforcing various environmental related legislations in the state. And one of the important legislation is the solid waste management rules 2016, because this solid waste, as earlier speaker has already informed, is causing a significant pollution, not only in terms of air and water pollution, groundwater contamination, but also it is one of the major GHG emitting source actually, if not managed scientifically. So in this background, the study carried out by Hasiru Dala is regarding the quantum of GHG emissions from our dry waste collection centers is a very good study. It is also an eye opener for many of the stakeholders, both government as well as private agencies. So we need to move from landfill to the processing and maximum refurbish the waste actually. So in this context, definitely we need to start with segregation at source, which is a very basic principle of waste management, which is already embedded in the rules actually. And it has to be done right from generation till its final disposal. Then only we will be able to address the problem effectively and efficiently. Otherwise, if one stage or a stakeholder doesn't do this job of segregation, the entire exercise will go waste actually. So the concept of dry waste collection centers are very, very important one in the context of decentralized waste management. The waste initially required to be segregated into broadly wet and dry waste, and then dry waste should be further segregated at dry waste collection centers. Whatever recyclables are there, reusables are there, that can be taken away. And the one which goes for reprocessing also required to be ensured that it goes into safe hands, so that the emissions are under control at such locations. For example, it may be the battery, lead acid battery thing, or it may be plastics, or it may be metal. You should go to a scientifically established facility, so that the emissions and also GHG emissions will be controlled to a considerable extent. So this study carried out by Hasiru Dala is a good exercise, and it needs to be extrapolated to other decentralized waste facilities also, so that we will come to know what city generates as a whole in terms of GHG emissions, the contribution of the waste and other sectors like transport sector, then the energy sector. All this sector needs to be understood, so that we can come out with a comprehensive plan to address the GHG emissions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mahesh. I think I think what you rightly mentioned was that we have to move from landfill to maximum processing. And I think, and I must say over here that in fact, the Karnataka State Pollution Control Board was one of the first pollution control board to have shut down a landfill in Bangalore way back in 2012. And that kind of changed the course of how we look at waste management in the city today. And so my follow-up question for you, sir, is that I was reading one of the one of the earlier reports, a 2018 report by the GHG platform India, where it talked about India's total GHG emissions from the waste sector, which was estimated to be about 114.5 million tons of CO2 equivalent and solid waste disposal contributing to emissions of 13.23 million tons of CO2 equivalent. Karnataka, this is 2018, so Karnataka was ranked 7 in the top 10 emission states. But having said that, Karnataka is like my previous question to Mr. Kabade. Karnataka has also been a front runner in promoting decentralized waste management, and like I said earlier, the first to shut down the controversial Mavalipura landfill. What do you foresee as the future plans? And Mr. Kabade has already pointed out that they're looking at all different waste streams. So from a pollution control angle and from the action plan for control of air pollution in Bangalore City, what do you foresee as future plans?
Yeah, can you please come again? There is some disturbance.
Okay. So basically, my question is that in a 2018 report by the GHG platform India, it's basically there are a lot of organizations that are part of it who've come together to make this platform, and they looked at a data for a period of time, I think 2005 to 2018, and what they looked at for 2018. The estimated, the estimated emissions from solid waste disposable contributed to about 13.23 million tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. And Karnataka, in that report, was ranked 7 in the top 10 waste emission states. Now, having said that, Karnataka has been a front runner in promoting decentralized waste management, and like I said earlier, was the first to also shut down the controversial Mavalipura landfill. So, in your experience, what do you and in your role as chief engineer at Karnataka State Pollution Control Board, what do you foresee as future plans across different waste streams from a pollution control angle, and also from the action plan for control of air pollution in Bangalore City?
Yeah, first of all, as you all know, Bangalore is one of the non-attainment city among 131 cities in the country, and 4 among the state actually. So there are various contributing factors for deterioration of air quality, and the waste management is one of the the significant contributor for a deterioration in air quality. So the from that point of view, actually, the management of solid waste becomes very, very important from the point of health and well-being of the people, actually. And as we all know, earlier the construction demolition waste, solid waste used to be handled in one compartment, actually. But now there is a separate rule. Construction demolition waste should go for recycling. Facilities have to be established at strategic locations so that the waste, maximum waste can be recycled out of the C&D. So, secondly, when it comes to solid waste, we need to have many more decentralized wastewater facilities and also the waste processing facilities, but with proper and adequate measures actually to control air pollution, water pollution, smell related issues, fly nuisance. All these things have to be addressed comprehensively. We have many processing facilities where there are plenty of problem to the citizens, to the flora and fauna surrounding these facilities. So adequate buffer is one of the important criteria uh, to be looked into while selecting any land for processing the waste or for landfilling the waste. So it plays a very, very important role, and adequate buffer should be left around the processing facilities, so that and waste handling should also be done in a scientific manner. So whether it is the leachate management, whether it is the smell nuisance, all these things needs to be addressed, keeping the health of the public and surrounding in mind actually. So so these decentralized uh, collection centers play a very important role in aggregating all these types of waste and taking it to a scientifically designed facilities, so that the problems of pollution associated with unscientific managements are reduced considerably, so that the health of the public is protected at large. So the dry waste collection centers definitely should be again properly designed in terms of its ventilation, in terms of its the uh, management, processing of the waste, and various other aspects connected with the pollution actually, air, water, soil, and the material recovery facilities also should be enable them to ensure that waste is properly channelized to secondary related products actually. So futuristic plans should be drawn, keeping environment as one of the important criteria actually. As of now, we don't take the environmental aspect into consideration when it comes to selection of dry waste collection center, or when it comes to processing facilities, or when it comes to material recovery facilities. So these environmental components, whether it is noise, whether it is air pollution, whether it is soil pollution or water pollution, leachate management, aspects should be looked into before we identify the location, and we should ensure that adequate measures are in place before we take up actual operation of the facilities actually, so that it will burden least to the people surrounding that area. At the same time, it will also help to maximize the recycling and reuse of the waste.
Thank you, Mr. Mahesh. I think both Mr. Kabade and Mr. Mahesh has raised one important question, I think, which is, so Nalini, my question is to you. I think we've been having this discussion or conversation from a long time, which is not in my backyard. And and not in my backyard syndrome has begun to catch up, though at one point in time people were more accepting. What do you think, where do you think we've gone wrong, and how do you think we can um, actually work around this issue, especially when we're talking about decentralized waste management facilities? You're on mute, Nalini.
Connecting with neighbors is very important. What we have seen in, at least in dry waste collection centers, wherever there is dry waste collection center, the operator, which is generally the waste pickers, have been able to talk to a lot of people around, bring them, show how it is not very smelly, noisy, or anything like that, and they've built relationship with them. That's the only way. I mean, we have operated in very, very difficult situation like COVID. When COVID, the BBMP workers left at 11 o'clock. Our waste pickers were working till 5 and 6 in the neighborhood, very close to homes. People were very scared that we don't know what is going to happen. These guys are segregating waste, but none of them said, just get out of this place. So building that relationship, telling them how we are managing it. And in 177 where we worked, they didn't even have problem of wet waste collection because 80 houses were using the lane composter. So I think it's a slow process, but we have to start saying, yes, in my backyard. That is the only way we can change people's mind, and they have to come and see and learn. And one of the things that we do in whichever ward we work, we work with the RWO very, very intensely and show them films of people around the landfill and what they are going through because of our waste. That has helped. Yeah, and also engaging children has helped. Last year we had a brand audit where 1,000 different packages was audited, for which we encourage all the neighborhood people to come and do it. So all these are very important, and this kind of behavior change that you require, it just with the communication it doesn't happen. Behavior communication is not enough. You have to work with the local people, and we have seen a lot of support to driveways collection center operator, even when there are places where they said you have to move out of this place and had lot of fights. We are able to talk to them and talk out of taking the driveways collection center out. But it's not like every time we'll be successful, but it is something that we keep doing and keep saying yes in my backyard.
Thank you. I think the word that I can think of is consistency in communication, and it needs to have clarity. I think it's not enough to just talk. It is also important to engage, build trust, and there has to be continuity. Others, everything is lost. I would like to now quickly move to another important.
Pinky, I just wanted to add one more. It is
Sure.
just not Hasiru Dala. Hasiru Dala is one of the stakeholders. It's BBMP staff on the ground, BBMP AWEs, BBMP JCs, elected representatives. Everybody have helped to make this happen. So when all the stakeholders work together, it is possible.
Absolutely well said. I mean, engaging, it cannot be. May I please request everyone to mute yourself? Um, yeah. So I think it's very important that we show strength, and I think even Mr. Kabade rightly mentioned that support is required from all sides, and he also pointed out to the one of the most important thing, which was political will and support. And so, with that, I would like to move to a different question to both Mr. Mahesh and Mr. Kabade. I'm wondering, can the state or the BBMP think of a textile waste policy aligning with the existing plastic waste management rules and the solid waste management rules, using the dry waste collection centers to collect textile waste? In fact, like what Nalini pointed out, the study has shown that with the case study of the dry waste collection center in Ward 177, the contribution of textile recycling in GHG mitigation is 17.1 ton of CO2 equivalent per year. So I'm just wondering, are you, I mean, in terms of future planning, would it help for us to have like a textile waste policy? And Mr. Kabari, a follow-up question. The first question is to both of you. The follow-up question is, given that you're exploring EPR directly with PIBOs, what opportunities do you see? PIBOs is producers, importers, brand owners, and we've shortened it to PIBOs as per what it is referred to in the plastic waste management rules. So, what opportunities do you see with textile waste in terms of streamlined collection and EPR using the dry waste collection centers as a base? So, whoever would like to go first, please do.
Okay, well, I'll answer it. Madam, textile waste, which you are talking about, is a critical, waste, one of the major component that is contributing to the GHG emissions, what I would say. Most of the textiles, while at the stage of production itself, it consumes a lot of energy to produce, a lot of water, a lot of recycling of water, a lot of power, and so on and so forth. Merely taking textile waste into a dry waste collection center and sending it to a landfill or say incineration, I think we are actually not utilizing the source of textile. I mean, we have to have what I personally feel, apart from plastic waste management rules, even though textile has a lot of content of plastic like nylon or silk materials. So what I think that this can also be, we should have a policy of textile, this one. Else, most of the, as Madam said, 17.4 carbon, million carbon credits and carbon emissions, which most of the contribution will be from the textile, what I feel. So, and it should not be only at the end production. I mean, the textile waste management should not be thought of as a after production, what needs to be done. It should be right from its production stage and usage stage. This has to be taken it as a either a reuse or a recycle material. It should be thought of in that process and used, because there are a lot of implementation strategies, like you segregate the textile waste and send it to a recyclable unit or reusable thing. And if that option is done, then I think we are reducing most of the waste that goes into even landfill or a waste to energy plant or incineration, cement factories. We should have a policy on textile, what I personally feel, because that is a major source for contribution of greenhouse gas emissions because of its chemical nature, chemicals that are included in the textile industry itself. So that is one thing. Coming to the second point in terms of extended producer responsibility, we have been conducting meetings with PIBOs. We had recently called PIBOs for registering into the CPCP portal as a producer or an importer or a brand owner, and also PWPs. So there has been a less number of people that those who had come, but we have given them a time. So we want to explore the people, the main producers and importers, where their production, the material that is being going, and who are their plastic waste processors, and how it can be gotten into a model of revenue generation, either for the BVMP or for any waste producer, waste processor, end waste processor, who is doing the process of the plastic, how it can be accommodated as a revenue generation model, and take the plastic into its final stages of end of life of the plastic. So that is the thing we want to call upon all the major producers, importers of plastic, and we want to engage them coordinate with them with the uh, this one, takers, who process this plastic waste, and also register. We have, since BBMP also does a lot of processing, we also registered as a waste processors. And this engagement will go on. I think we need a lot of support system from even the NGOs or RWS because they would be knowing which are the major PIBOs, and they can encourage these people to have an interaction with the BBMP and register themselves as a PIBO and the uh, generate the certificates of EPR, which itself can be traded nowadays. So that possibilities we are looking at, and we want to encourage people to come forward and register in our this one, and empanel themselves as a PIBOs or plastic waste processor. So this is the initial stage what we are going through, and we are also hopeful that a lot of inputs will be getting in order to take it forward. Like from Madam herself, Nalini Madam had given certain inputs before this also for us, and such inputs will be very helpful for us in taking into a conclusion. That's it, Madam.
Thank you. Mr. Mahesh, before I go to you, I just want to, I know Rohini has shared our textile study that we had conducted in 2019. And what we looked at, what we found was in that particular survey, on an average, 3.5% of cloth waste from the total dry was cloth waste accounted for 3.5% of the total dry waste collection, and in Ward 41 in Pina, being an industrial area, it received an average of 9% of cloth waste with 19,919 households, which is 3.3 times higher as compared to a Ward 150, say in Velandur, which is a residential area and received on an average of 2.7% of cloth waste. So this is, I mean, this is what the dry waste collections are receiving. Though we have a much more comprehensive study from 2021, and I'll ask Nalini to share a little bit more after we've heard from Mr. Mahesh in terms of what can the state do to have like a textile waste policy, um, for Karnataka. What can the pollution control board do to have to push push to have a textile waste policy, so that we know that we are, like what Mr. Kabade rightly said, that we have to look at it from a waste hierarchy method and not just look at it, and we have to start looking at it from the production stage itself. So having said that, over to you, Mr. Mahesh.
Yeah, thank you. In fact, it is not only the urban centers receiving this textile waste, even in rural, the areas, significant quantity of textile waste is being received or handled by the local bodies actually. This is a very important, the component of solid waste. And what I feel at this point of time is that, instead of having a separate policy, because, we always talk about policies and then rules, regulations. Finally, when it comes to implementation, we all know how, implementation takes place. So instead of that, actually, we should, identify, the quantum of the textile waste being received or by the local bodies. What is the percentage? Like Hasiru Dala has carried out. Okay, this area is receiving so much of percentage of the textile waste. After that, we should have a sort of consultation with the stakeholders, and then identify the producers also. So we can either ask them through this EPR framework to take back this kind of textile waste and then reprocess or change the product to some other form, whatever it may be. Or we have a green credit program itself actually. Recently, brought out by Government of India under the Environment Protection Act, under Life Mission actually. So here also, waste management is identified as one of the important sector. Greening program, all these things are there, but waste management is also one of the important, the sector identified to get the green credits actually. So, this we can take advantages of green credit program also and generate green credits, and then it can be, sold in the market actually. So this is another way of addressing the problem, because, we can generate revenue and we can manage that particular type of waste using that kind of resources. And the very important, aspect when it comes to textile waste is, even in rural areas, wherever the pilgrimage centers are located, whether it is our, they are all located on the banks of the river actually. So we have enough problems associated with textile waste actually. In fact, we have an experience that actually all these pilgrimage centers, people go there, they take, bath there, and then they leave their clothes there, and it is creating huge problem actually. And from that perspective, we try to identify few agencies who can, collect the waste from the, rivers, actually from the bed of the rivers, and then properly store it, and then whether any recycling facilities or processing facility can be established close to the temple areas, so that the problem associated with this textile waste is, one is, okay, on the downstream we have many towns and villages, they drink this water actually. And this another problem is actually it clogs, and it won't allow the water to freely flow, which in turn affect the migration of flora and fauna also. So all these aspects are there actually. And when it comes to pollution, this is one of the major source of pollution in case of these pilgrimage centers actually, wherever they are located on the banks of the river. This is a huge problem actually. We are trying to collect that and send it to nearby cement industries. There also acceptance is not there actually. So we have to find out some way out, so that significant amount of textile waste generated in these kind of the cities, towns and urban centers are collected and reused, so that problem of waste management is also reduced to considerable extent. uh, this is my viewpoint.
Thank you, Mr. Mahesh. I think one key takeaway from what you just mentioned definitely is data, and I think Nalini also has emphasized enough about the need for systematic data collection. So, Nalini, I know we are short of time, though we started about 5 minutes late, so I'm going to extend it because we also have questions from the audience. Nalini, you know. I mean, there are a lot of examples of waste pickers' contribution in terms of preventing and reducing GHG emissions. Now, the fact that you've listened to both Mr. Kabade and Mr. Mahesh, and from what we have heard in terms of textile, I would like you to add a little bit more to the textile component. That apart, what is the scope of the study beyond the dry waste collection centers for different waste streams?
I think the formation of dry waste collection center in Bangalore has given us amazing insights into different categories of waste. First time when I saw the dry waste collection center, we were getting 1.5 tons of chappals, 1.5 tons of cloth, which we couldn't do, MLP another 2 tons. So when we started looking at this, we started looking at solutions, right? So I think it is very important to do that kind of a thing. And with cloth waste itself, I think first is reduction. I think Aparna has talked about it in the chat. I think reduction is definitely something we need to really promote first before managing the waste that comes in. And last 8 months, we have collected little over 100 metric tons of cloth. This was a separate collection. It cannot come with a dry waste, regular dry waste, because it creates a contamination. So we were able to collect in 8 wards separately with the support of BBMP, allowing us to do, and we separately collected, and we are figuring out what can be done with it. So this is really a huge problem, reduction, and rural areas. We have just started working in rural areas, and we see the same thing what Mahesh sir was saying. So textile waste is something that we have to start collecting separately and do something about it. But I can tell you, in that 10% of what we collect, we can't do anything, but it has to go to either cement kilns or landfilling. So reduction, and also we argued in our study then 2 years ago that polyester is there. As Mahesh sir was saying, you don't need different policies. Polyester is there. Jeans has a lot of PET material in it. So cloth waste can come very well within the plastic waste also, I feel. I think I should talk less and look at how we can answer few questions at least, Pinky.
Yes, thank you, Nalini. I think what you rightly said, we have a lot of synthetic fibers such as polyester, acrylic, nylon, spandex, and they are all, made from non-renewable fossil fuels, and it has to be included in plastic waste management rules. May I request everyone to please put down your questions and address it to specific speakers? I know Aparna has made a comment saying We have shut landfills using efficient dry waste collection center, waste picker community. Thank you, Aparna. And there was one question for Nalini, uh, which was
I actually answered in the chat
sorry,
because I thought there'll not be much time.
no, this was the
Integration of
first
waste
question.
pickers.
You've answered it? Okay, fine.
Yes.
All right. Is there any other questions? What type of waste? That has already been answered. Is there any specific questions that you would like to ask either to Mr. Kabade or to Mr. Mahesh? That would be, you can put that down. There are a lot of answers as well in terms of solutions. Thank you so much for all of that. Okay.
A lot of suggestions have also come in the
Suggestions. Yes, I think it can all be incorporated in the Ban Bengaluru suggestions. During your deliberation, do you also discuss about the educational aspect? Now, I would like to ask Mr. Kabade, because I know within the Brand Bengaluru groupings, you have put in a focus group on IC and communication. So, would you like to take that question?
The question is what, ma'am? Exactly.
The question is by Mr. Suresh Balasubramaniam. He's asking, during your deliberation, do you also discuss about the education aspect? I'm not sure whom this question is directed to, but I think it might make sense for you to answer it in terms of what you're doing with the Bengaluru groupings for solid waste management, and the component is IC. So,
Yes, madam, I got it. It's regarding IEC activities for waste management to be conducted at ward levels and block levels and all. This was one of the important factors when initially when brand Bengal concept was motivated, when we had sought the opinion of the public. We had received around more than 11,000 opinions on SWM itself. 70,000 for all sectors. For SWM, we had received nearly 10,000 plus opinions. And one of the important factors, if you rate in 1:8, one of the important factors people gave suggestion was creation of awareness among the public. So that is one of the IEC activities. Not only segregation of waste was the first topmost importance. Next, third or fourth was IEC conducting, educating people for segregation of waste and handling of waste. What are the effects of waste? What is being done now? Waste, how it is being segregated, how it is being processed, how it is being landfilling. What are the ill effects of health effects of making it landfill. So these were all discussed. And during the final conclave, which we recently had, Brand Bengaluru, taking into consideration, we had called around 40 experts from various fields. Even these experts in their table round conferences, they also spoke about one of the importance that was given was to the IC activities. In Swachh Bharat, which is from the government of India, they also keep a certain set of this one funding for the not only for capital expenditure, creation of infrastructure for SWM, also certain fund goes to creation of IC activities related of an ad in the paper or radio communication or street plays or school, going to schools and educating the school children or making TV ads or in cinema theaters, all these videos in such forms, so the IC activities need to be taken up. And we are also planned these ways. We are continuously doing. We already have more than 250 link workers, two per wards in that manner. We have 500 marshals. We have junior health inspectors of 214 people in Bangalore. They also do in a way on a regular basis in each of the wards. Apart from that, larger scale IC activities are being taken up from BVMP side. Not only in SWM structure, we also want to take up IC activities in creating awareness on air pollution and ill effects of pollutions, good air quality that is needed for Bangalore.
thank you. I think, Nalini, there's one question for you. The question is, I'm sorry. It says, what
Sujata,
sort of
right?
volume? Sorry?
Is it from Sujata?
The question is from Suresh. Sorry, my screen is moving too fast.
He
The
answered
question
that.
is
There was
from
one question
Suresh,
from
and he wants to.
Sujata. One question from Sujata. It's extremely important.
Okay.
Her question, it says GHG emission reduced due
Hmm.
to less energy intensive sorting pre-processing. Is that because most operational DWCC are manual, led by waste pickers? I would say yes. Even if you do little bit of energy introduced in DWCC is much better. We have seen that in a large centralized system, we have compared large centralized system to decentralized way of doing. In large setup where you have machines which recognizes the color and separates out and everything, only 10% of material taken out was usable because of the process. While in our decentralized facility in Bangalore and also Pune, we have studied that it is 40 to 45% of the waste that comes in can be used as resource. Well, a centralized, highly intensive operation with machinery, it has been only 10%. One of the main criteria is because of milk sachets. When milk sachets get
Madam,
into
I'm not able to hear you.
large facility, sorting cannot happen in a machine. It only can happen in hand. So that is one of the reasons. But doesn't mean that we should not give a better ergonomically designed space for waste pickers. We can do that.
Sorry, my bad. I read it as Suresh. It is actually Sujata.
Okay.
I know we are over the time, and I said 5 minutes, and we've taken more. We've taken 3 minutes more. There is one last question from. Okay, about school children. So I know, Mr. Mahesh, when you were with MPRI, and I know MPRI does, and with KSPCB, there is a lot of activity happening. Do you want to answer that particular question in terms of engaging with educational institutions? In terms of, so the question is from Shobha. It says almost um, from school going student to senior citizens, everyone knows about the single use plastic ban, but at the ground we don't see it. Same with segregation also. How would you handle that? I think both Mr. Kabade and Mr. Mahesh has to answer this question. So whoever wants to take it, please do.
Madam, I think Mahesh will answer this, madam.
Okay.
Yeah, madam. Sorry, I went out of the chamber. Can you please repeat the question?
So the question is from Shobha. Shobha, she says that most of us are aware of the single-use plastic ban, but at the ground level, we don't see it. Same with segregation also. How would you handle it?
Okay, so plastic ban is there, but then we find plastic in market. That's the point.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah, madam, actually, yeah, single-use plastic, ban is there since 2022 July, 1st July 2022. And they have identified what are all the single-use plastic items, and then who are all the agencies responsible for enforcing these SUP rules also. Okay. I would like to mention here that when it comes to completely elimination of single-use plastic, it may take some time actually, because the stakeholder departments, institutions involved in enforcing or regulating this SUP has taken some time to understand what are the types of single-use plastics. Even identification of single-use plastic has become a big issue in the initial days actually. So then a lot of capacity building, awareness creation, and related to the single-use plastic has been carried out by the regulatory body as well as by the various departments in association with NGOs and other self-help groups actually. The quantum of the waste, though it shows that it has come down to a limited extent, but we have to go a long way in complete elimination of plastic. There are various reasons for this actually. First and foremost is actually, yes, awareness, capacity building is one thing. People should aware that they should not use the banned items. That is one thing, and there should be practically and feasible options available as alternatives. Actually, that is another important thing. And as government of Karnataka, in way back in 2016 itself has issued a notification under the Environment Protection Act banning the single-use plastics actually.
No, sir, I'm sorry to interrupt, sir, but it's too big time you have taken it. From 2016, we are teaching same to students also. Every school knows this actually. Now, action plan has to be there. You have marshals under your hand, JHI, other SHI. You should have an action plan.
Yeah, madam, actually, I understand that, we should, we should have taken less time to, come out with, the cleaner programs. But then, it is not only one department or one agency. There are several departments involved in it. So naturally, we have to work in coordination. Actually, that is one important aspect. And to that extent, the is being implemented. And at the same time, government of Karnataka has declared 5 cities has plastic-free cities actually. And recently, the one city declared is this Mysore actually. So Mysore, then Mangalore, Dharmsthala, then Bidar and Kalburgi. These 5 cities have been declared as plastic free, and government is seriously thinking to add a few more cities next year. So they are conducting a number of workshops in these cities and involving all the stakeholders, the manufacturers, the recyclers, and also the regulators and other government departments. So the series of workshops are planned in these 5 cities, and then after its implementation, we would like to take it to other cities also. And at the same time, we are also planning to fund a few projects to come out with feasible alternatives for the single-use plastics, so that people can afford to use the alternatives, and they change their mindset from plastic to other eco-friendly products actually.
Thank you, Mr. Mahesh. I know that the plastic ban has been a sore point for a lot of us who have invested a lot of time and effort from 2016. And after COVID, to see that it's gone back to the same state of affairs, it's really heartbreaking. I think we need a coming together, and I do hope that with both the Karnataka State Pollution Control Board and the BPMP and Mr. Kabade will convene a meeting soon for us to to really plan, strategize, and act on the ground. But I do have 2 questions, and I know we are way past the time. But if you're okay, if everyone's all right, then I will go ahead and ask these questions. Um, is everybody okay? So the first question, I think, is should I think it's for you, Mr. Kabade. The question is from Aishwarya Nair. It's, hello. My question is, how much of solid waste clogging in the stormwater drains have contributed to flooding in Bengaluru, and how can we go about finding solution to this? And I think we will close with this last question.
Yes, madam. This is a very serious concern of stormwater drains being dumped with solid waste. We generally see these Flooding also happens because of the clogging of drains, because of throwing of. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. So one of the major concern is one is the clogging of drains, stormwater drains during rainy season. This not only is not, it does not mean that at the place where they throw the waste into the stormwater drain, there it will get flooded. Flooding will happen somewhere down the line where water flows and clogs the culvert, bridge portions, or a narrow openings and all. So this has been a major concern, and we are trying to address this by providing some trash barrier kind of things in the stormwaters or entry point into a lake. And also, we are having a strong enforcement. I mean, we have night marshals who take rounds near stormwater drains and see that if anybody is caught in this kind of irregularity, we book FIR against them. We lodge a police complaint also. We have till today we have penalized more than 7 crores in the last 3 to 4 years. More than 7 crores of penalty has been imposed for irregularities in solid waste segregation, as well as throwing garbage on the road, on the footpath, or on the into the stormwater drains. So it's a, I mean, each what I feel is like each individual, each citizen has to take their own responsibility. Suppose a person is throwing besides your house a garbage into a stormwater drain, you should be able to ask, this is an irregularity, or at least you should be able to contact the nearest ward people or the AWA or a junior health inspectors, so that such an default is stopped. Of course, this is a major concern. Stormwater drains getting clogged because of the waste being thrown into the drain. So it has to be addressed very seriously.
So thank you so much. I think since there are most of the questions are more related in terms of operational issues to Bangalore, maybe what we can do is we can collect all these questions and email it to both Mr. Kabade and Mr. Mahesh. And since there are no specific questions on the study, I think we can end the webinar today. And I must quote from this quote from this line that reducing waste is a climate game changer. This is from the Gaia report called Zero Waste to Emissions, and I love the tagline, which is how reducing waste is a climate game changer. And I think I'm going to leave that with you, because when we are talking about the zero waste hierarchy, we often talk about reduce, reuse, recycle, but the reduce is where everything is should be concentrated on. And I think some of the chat message also resonate around that, which talks about reduction. And there's some lovely suggestions. Maybe what we will do is we can compile it and share it, with everyone on social media. Thank you so much, Mr. Kabadi and Mr. Mahesh, for making time. And thank you to all our participants who have joined us today. And I see a lot of familiar faces, and it's so good to see people from different, parts of not just India, but also, I know there was somebody from Africa who joined in. There was somebody else from Philippines who joined in. It was really interesting to look at the mix and the diversity of people who joined us in this report release. It means a lot. Thank you so much, and we will be in touch. All right, bye.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Thank you all.